Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Smarketing CONNECT podcast. My name is Tom Libby. I'm your host here. I am the co-founder and the current CEO of Smarketing CONNECT. I'm excited to have people, our guests on the podcast here. And today I asked Bob Grant to join us, one of our newest members of Smarketing CONNECT, and super excited to have him on board. And we're just going to jump right in. I tend not to want to, pitter patter around the intros too much. So jumping right in here, Bob, can you tell the audience kind of who you are and what you do in a sentence or two? Or, well, you could take a little longer than a sentence or two, but you know.
Sure. My name is Bob Grant. I'm president of Grant Marketing. We're technically located in Boston, and we work specifically with manufacturing companies, helping them grow their business. We've been in business for over 30 years, and I've probably worked with more manufacturing companies than any other marketing agency in the country.
Well, that is certainly a claim to fame that I'd love to explore. I love that the idea that you're so niche. So manufacturing is such a wide uh industry, right? Like so when people say manufacturing, there can be an abundance of things that are involved in that. Is there a particular size or a particular type of manufacturing that you prefer to work with, I guess is the question.
Yeah, well, certainly size of companies. Most of our clients range somewhere in between 10 million to 200 million dollars in revenue per year. So we don't do big companies, we don't do public companies. Most of our clients are privately owned companies. We like to work at least initially with either the CEO or president of those companies because what we like to do is be pretty personable in working with companies so that there's a synergy between us and our client. We have a team here at Grant of about 6 people, so we're a small agency, so we like to work with this level of client. And particular type of manufacturing company, I think most of them are companies that make a product that then is purchased by an OEM manufacturing company. So they're supplying the bigger manufacturing industries out there. And that's a lot of fun, and it's takes a little bit of a strategy and understanding of their business. So that's who we like to work with.
That sounds amazing. And I love it. So it's the manufacturers to the manufacturers.
Yes.
I love it. So switching gears here a little bit, and thank you for that, by the way. I love I now I think I understand even a little bit better than I already did, from knowing you previously. But um, so when you think of the small businesses in the areas that you help out, um, there's an abundance of tools out there from a sales and marketing perspective. What is your like one non-negotiable that you think that every small business, regardless of whether they're even in your sweet spot of manufacturing or not, like it doesn't even matter what they do, like you just think that this small tool is a must-have for every small business, and why would you suggest it?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, particularly in today's marketplace. I've been in this business for so long, I've seen so many different trends. When I first started my agency, I started developing websites for companies. So I would have said, you need a website. And that was just as the internet was getting started. And they would say, why in the world would I need a website? So now we don't even question that, right?
Yeah.
So if I ask myself today, what's the most important tool, whether you're a manufacturing company or any company at this point, it's AI, artificial intelligence, because it's growing like crazy. I was at a conference the week before last at Mass MEP, and there was a manufacturing company talking about the importance of AI in manufacturing, which is to use AI to help develop your products, help develop your strategies. And he saw this as an urgent need because if you don't use AI now, your competitors are going to be using AI. For our particular business, We're using AI for content development, prospecting for companies, um, any number of things. And we also partner with HubSpot, which is a big software company. They've doubled down on using AI, and they have three or four different AI agents that companies can use to develop their sales and marketing platforms. So definitely AI is the tool of the moment.
I love that, the tool of the moment. Because I mean, I don't know, maybe 8, 10 years ago, it was all about CRM, right? It was like, if you're not using a CRM, then you're lost in the shuffle or whatever. And then it was,
Right.
CMS systems, right? Like so full content management systems. And now I think I tend to agree with you, even if whether you love AI or hate it, because there are some people out there that still hate it. But even the
Right.
people that hate it recognize that you will be left behind if you're not using it in some fashion, right? So
Right.
um,
Yeah.
I agree. So, all right, Bob. So, let's talk a little bit about like specific, like what do you have a common thread of why clients reach out to you personally? Like I understand marketing agencies have a wide breadth of services and or strategies that they deploy for clients, but is there one that is like the most common that you see like walking in the door for every one of your clients? Like what is that one thing that people look to you first? And I'm sure it's like a land and expand kind of thing where you can do other things for them, but is there one in particular that is like a red flag that you always shoot for because you know you're going to solve that problem really, really well?
Yeah, so most companies are looking to grow their businesses. So therefore, they're looking for new business engagements, and so that's initially what people come to us to talk about is what can I do to improve my business? And then it gets a little bit more specific. So how do I make that happen? Well, you need to, have people calling you or going on your website and requesting information. So then the next thing that needs to happen, we need to drive traffic to your website. How do we do that? That's all about inbound marketing, content marketing, and so on. And more importantly, above all that, you need a marketing strategy. I've run into so many companies that, they don't have a marketing strategy. They have a business strategy. They sort of understand, what their goals are in terms of, increasing their business, who their markets are, what their products are, but they don't necessarily have outlined an actual marketing strategy on how to get there. So that's what we help them with. Years ago, we used to, just build websites. We don't really build websites anymore because anybody can build a website. It's still about how do you drive traffic to that website to engage new prospects to do business with you.
Uh, awesome. I love how you even worded that better than I did. Like, and I did in the question where you kind of walked through almost like a workflow for yourself, right? Like this is so we talk about this, then we talk about that, then we do that. Like I that was a great answer. So I'd like to ask everybody about like advice that you would give people looking for an agency that is not yours, right? So you can't, I mean, I understand that you want to help as many people as you can, but let's say because your niche, and by the way, I love the fact that you're super niched into manufacturing, but so let's say you uncovered somebody who is in a software company or some other, it doesn't matter, some other random company that you yourself are probably not going to take for as a client.
Mhm.
What is the piece of advice that you would give them if they said to you, yeah, I need a marketing agency. I'm gonna be interviewing these whatever X number of agencies. What kind of advice would you give them in order to find the right one for them?
Yeah, and I think this, applies directly to your question and your what's behind that, because we do have a niche. Therefore, I think the experience. I think if you're anyone, whatever type of company you are, and if you're looking for a marketing agency or a sales agency, it's really about the experience. So, if you sell a consumer product, well, you don't want to talk to us. We don't know about the consumer market, so we're not going to waste your time, but find somebody who actually does that and as specific as you can get. So, I mean, that would be my advice. I mean, if you're selling, um, you know, I don't know what's the product, any product, orange juice to the consumers, well, go find someone who has experience in the food industry and knows about orange juice and any other fruit product, or can at least get you introduced into large, uh, you know, food retailers.
Yeah. So okay, so you're doubling down. I love this, by the way. So you're doubling down on the niche um theory, right? Meaning, so because you're so niched into the manufacturing, you're thinking avoid the people who say that they're industry agnostic and they work with anybody, and look for people who really understand your industry really well, can speak your language. Because I've found similar things in my working relationships with clients. And by the way, everybody, if you're listening to this podcast, clients tend to get excited when you actually speak their language. Like when you know what they're talking about, it tends to get them even more excited. So don't just chat GPT and read an overview. It's really comes from a depth of knowledge that you have about that industry.
Yeah, for some reason, we tend to get a lot of inquiries from cosmetic companies. And I think part of that, a lot of our core competency is brand development. And, it's like cosmetic companies are always looking for, rebranding of their products or branding their products. Um, and so they come to us and I say, well, yeah, we do brand development. We'd love to work with you, but we don't know anything about cosmetics and I wouldn't know how to help you with that marketplace.
It's like,
So,
yeah, why we're not going to take your money. The ethics behind that and the moral compass is really hits home for me. Like, we're not going to take your money if we can't help you. That doesn't make any sense for me
right.
either. So I love that. Absolutely love that, Bob. All right. This question usually comes out of left field for people who didn't see the questions that I send to people ahead of time. But Bob, you read the question, so this is not going to be surprising to you. I hope you had a little chance to think about it, because I like to have a little fun on these podcasts. I ask some weird questions sometimes, but my favorite weird question to ask is, Bob, if you could be a superhero, tell us who it would be and why.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting question. And I'm thinking in my generation, there really only were two superheroes. It was Superman and Batman.
Yeah, yeah,
Nowadays, there's 100 superheroes out there.
yeah, yeah.
So I would pick Superman. And as I recall, Superman always helped people that were in a jam. And he helped solve problems. By problems, more like a mystery, because, whatever the Superman movie or TV show back in the day was about, there was a mystery going on. Somebody was doing something bad. You had to find out who it was, and then you had to go and find that person and take him off to jail or whatever. So Superman's my hero because he does solve problems and he gets people out of a jam.
And even more so, I think it's they never fail, right? This is one of the other reasons why I love asking this question, because when we think of superheroes, we always think of like the good guy always wins. They never fail. They always succeed in their whatever their task is. And for me, I think that success rates with our clients make us superheroes. That's why I asked that question. So,
Yeah, that's a good answer.
um, all right, Bob, as we wrap up here, one of the things that we like to do in closing, we love on this Smarketing Connect to just give a shout out to somebody that we think is a really good sales or marketing professional, a colleague, a friend, somebody that we, well, and or that you think would be a good guest on the podcast. That's also a possibility that we invite them on the podcast, but they'll also be tagged in this when we hit social media. So uh, who would you give a really cool shout out to? Somebody that you've worked with that you think deserves a kudos, so to speak.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this question, and I'm thinking, well, marketing and sales expert, who would that be? Do I work with another company that does that sort of thing that I recommend? But then I thought about it, and I said, well, I have a client, and his name is Phil Holman. Phil Holman started a company called Four Star Connections about 20 years ago. Brought it up to really successful multi-million dollar company, and it was recently purchased by a larger company a couple of years ago. And Phil is I would say, one of the smartest people I know in manufacturing, both in terms of his salesmanship, his marketing. So I'd give a shout out to Phil.
Awesome. Well, Phil, hopefully you watch this podcast when we tag you in it too. Bob, thank you very much for being on the podcast. We're just wrapping up this episode, so I appreciate you. I thank you for all your words of wisdom, and I think this was very fun for me. So hopefully you had a little bit of fun with it, and we can get some eyeballs on this for you.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Awesome. And for everybody out there, keep selling.